had such a terrible day debugging today. Horrendous, dreadful, ghastly. I started the game a year ago, and a year ago I was shit at coding games. Probably should have practiced more little games, small games, before making this Dorian Pink game. All the bad coding behaviors are catching up to me, and I am distraught.
If you're new here, I'm Ember, and I am making a narrative RPG. It's called The Secret Life of Dorian Pink, set in an alternate reality of the Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. And you can wishlist it on Steam right now. It will seriously mean a lot to me. The link is down below. Thank you. Anyway, naturally, today is the perfect day to share reasons why indie game dev is just utterly magnificent. I'm just going to have a speed paint here to entertain your visual senses. It's Dorian Pink with his new friend, the vampire. This isn't one of the routes in the game, so let's see if you're lucky enough to become friends with a vampire. This will be like a podcast episode or something, as I attempt to articulate what about making games has attracted me so much, even though it's such a gamble financially and time-wise. First reason, unlike other careers that benefit from specialization, which is narrowing down on one thing and becoming an absolute expert at that, indie game dev is all about being a jack of all trades. Perfect for people who like to learn everything and hop around skill sets when you're bored with one thing, as I am right now with debugging. Honestly, I don't think I've ever been interested with debugging. But the constant challenge of something new that you haven't learned, or the nasty bugs in a game, keeps you sharp and stressed. 2, a bit related to the first point, to get good at something, normally you spend time studying, reading, practicing, being productive, right? But in game dev, everything is productive, in my opinion. Just a disclaimer, productivity is not some godly state I propose everyone be in. I am a proponent of staring at the wall and thinking no thoughts sometimes. But I will say, with making a game, I definitely feel less guilty for choosing to live a life over working, especially in times in the day when I should be working. Anything you do, failures made, words said, they're all dots that will help you shape your next plot, game mechanic, and characters, and so on. Games are literally an experience, so living life gives you content to make better, deeper, more human games. You may not know how an experience will help you in the future, but the possibilities are endless in game dev. Indie game dev, at least. I just want to share a story. In college, I took a class called Starstruck, Introduction to Astronomy, something like that. It was taught by one of my favorite professors. That class really changed my life. Or saying life is too dramatic. Let's just say it changed my perspective. You know, picture this. True story. At some point in college, you might feel a sort of numbness and develop an indifference to everything. Everything feels blasé, and even with your design teachers telling you to get inspiration from real life things, you just really can't bring yourself to analyze a fucking dome-shaped sculpture, for example. And you think, God damn it, why do I have to justify everything beautiful I see? Can't I just enjoy the sculpture for what it is, or ignore it if it doesn't pique my particular interest? Why must I ponder the reason behind why this sculpture is shiny, or why it's 1 cm bulkier on the left? That's just an exaggerated example, obviously, but you get the point. I get that it's ironic because I went to school exactly to learn these things. I'm still grateful to have developed my design eye and vocabulary, but it didn't stop me from feeling weird about it in that moment. And then you have this one astronomy class that you somehow stumbled upon. It taught you how we are literally made of dead stars, and how, contrary to popular belief, blue as a color is physically more high energy than red, and all those awesome science things. And science just became something just as, if not way more creative than visual arts. Most visual arts serve a commercial purpose, so schools kind of train you to become predictable in a way, so that you can make that money. But to me at the time, science became a purer form of creativity, if there's such a thing. Creativity is not just about creating things, it's ultimately about asking questions and that innate sense of curiosity. In a way, it's sort of like game dev to me. You can take inspiration from everything or not at all. There's no pressure for you to study a game mechanic, for example. If you don't want to, there's a lot of other ways to make things fun. You can derive a game mechanic from a turtle or a cloud. Anything can be turned into a game mechanic. Just live life and your life can become a game. You can take inspiration from plunging a toilet or killing a cockroach. It's not a formal discipline at all, at least right now. Third, there's no framework to success or the right answer, so-called right answer. You could do all those so-called wrong things for your game and still the game might become widely loved and meaningful to a lot of people. Likewise, doing all the so-called right things don't guarantee your game's success either. So you really are encouraged to be creative, as there are no hard rules. And game elements in the game need not be perfect, because if you insist on making everything perfect, you're either a bigger company with employees with great promise of financial return, or the game's going to take you 30 years to make. Of course, we do try our best to craft the best experience we can create as our skills of the time allow. Fourth, the indie game dev community tends to help each other out a lot and we exchange knowledge a lot. We can relate to technical, financial, and emotional struggles.
You know, stuff like,
shit, how am I going to explain to my parents what I've been doing stuck in front of a computer all day for a year if at the very end my game flops and nobody except my friends play it?
It's a very passion-driven community because it's difficult to persist and hard to justify financially. Tons of exquisite quality free resources, plugins, forums. People tend to share more than they compete is what I've observed. It's hard to persist in indie game dev or any field without a sense of purpose about the thing we're doing. I might have had a few existential, nihilistic years, so I'm still a bit iffy about the sentiment behind the words purpose and passion. But these words seem to be evolving into different social meanings with the new generation and with recent events. For now, when I say purpose, I don't mean the dramatic, oh, life's purpose. I was put in this world to do only this. I mean purpose in the sense that you feel like there's actual use in the thing you create. I had a discussion on Reddit with some Godottians about the seeming lack of narrative games made with Godot. I'll link it below, as there are valid speculations about why it is so, if you're interested. As you might know, I had trouble figuring out dialogue systems and save files for narrative games specifically, as there weren't much educational content on that online. So I made my own tutorial that I hope helps with anyone making a narrative game in Godot. One of the points discussed was that narrative games are generally more of a hassle to make, as original assets and dialogue takes a long time and a lot of effort. Something that takes months to make translate to just a few minutes of gameplay for the player. And if you add narrative branching on top of that, having different endings, having other players remember actions or what you said, then it's a formula for a headache. So you can imagine without a sense of purpose, as in, this game I'm making is useful in some way. It's really hard to start and worse, persist. It's not like we're expecting our game to change the world, but games are definitely way more immersive of a storytelling medium and therefore, in my opinion, more impactful. Players get some sort of agency, and they can venture into some deep topics as sometimes in the guise of something light-hearted. The player inserts a sense of self into the games because they have some degree of agency over the ending they get in the game. This might be a bit corny, but I really do believe that players go through some sort of character development themselves when they're playing a good game. So my point is, it's really hard for me to think that games are useless to make, because there's always a player at the other end of it. I know I'm not just making a game for the fun of it, but also because it's just practical for me to make a game. It's for people to play, and that's useful as much as cooking is useful. You don't really question the use of a donut because it's made to be eaten. Playing is just naturally a part of humans' lives as much as eating is. Measuring minute spaces between letters arguably is not, even though it's great to do when you don't have natural disasters to deal with or more urgent life-sustaining things to tend to at hand. Because of this, so far I haven't had any game dev existential crisis yet, but my opinions are obviously subject to change in the future. Hayao Miyazaki said, and I quote, "I would like to make a film to tell children it's good to be alive." I felt useless as a graphic designer, but I just think I might have found the thing that lets me make a difference in people's lives, and it's making games that tell people it's fun to be alive, even when it sucks too sometimes. By the way, if you're new here, I'm Amber, and I am making a narrative RPG called The Secret Life of Dorian Pink in Godot engine. It's V-Glam, V-Gorge, whipping out my Barbie slang. The game is now available on Steam for you to wishlist. Your support means a lot to me. Let's trick the Steam algorithm into believing Dorian Pink is a desirable game.
As usual, subscribe if you like and join us on Discord.
I made a resident narwhal bot you can talk to there. The people in Discord don't seem too eager about it though. I was a little bit sad. I might have wasted my time.
Leave a comment down below to let me know what you think about indie game dev, what makes you love playing or making games. Thank you for watching, and wishlist the game on Steam, friends!